Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. A very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Hello, and welcome back to Big Mouth, and you can keep this or any other conversation going over on my Twitter, @MoviesTVMad. My brand new Instagram, right, that I just created, Big Mouth, let me get this right, 987, Big Mouth 987. Why did I create a new one? Well, I was being stupid. My videos wouldn't upload. There was a problem with Instagram, so I tried to kind of uninstall the app. And what happened was, when I went back, I forgot my password. So I had to create a new one. So that's my brand new Instagram, Big Mouth 987. Remember, I don't reply to DMs because it's a little bit scary talking to people, especially if they've got no posts. But if you want to comment on my posts, we can have a little debate and a chat. There's no need for us to talk privately, is there? Come on, we can talk with the rest of the community. So that's @MoviesTVMad, Twitter, and Big Mouth 987. Right, on today's show, we are talking about Joker and the Black Label universe, because wow. I got my 4K Steelbook Joker movie yesterday, or with a Blu-ray copy and a 4K copy. The special features are off the wire. I didn't realise how involved Bradley Cooper was in this film. So going back to the conversations of this film happening, basically, because Todd Phillips had worked with Bradley Cooper before, he rang up Bradley Cooper, who's got a really big foot in with Warner Brothers, and said that he wanted to create this DC Black Label alternative universe, right? So anyway, Bradley Cooper told Warner Brothers the idea. Now, because Todd Phillips has already got a really great relationship with Warner, they said, this sounds amazing. But obviously, we have no guarantees here of success, so we want to bring some financial partners in this. Todd Phillips was very happy with that, what Walter Hamada was saying to him. But he said, look, Todd, hold on. Let's not say we're doing a whole franchise, the film fails, and we all look like idiots, which is smart thinking, right? So basically, the agreement was for Todd Phillips to make Joker, and if that was successful, then they could start discussing a roadmap and a universe. So basically, Joker is successful. I may talk about Joker as a film near the end of the video, because rewatching it again just brought up what an amazing film it is on so many levels. But Joker is successful, $1 billion globally plus. Massive success. No one saw this coming. Well, I did, because I kept on telling you people, but never mind, right? I was right. Anyway, let's carry on. So we now know that Joker's successful, right? So what happens now? Well, Todd Phillips has now got the go-ahead from Walter Hamada and Warner Brothers to create a roadmap, an alternative DC universe, a DC cinematic universe set on a different Earth, right? So everything's going to be set on the same Earth as Joker. So before I talk about what I would do next, and I think you already know, we've discussed this before, but we're going to get announcements soon. I think a Joker sequel will happen, but not yet. Joaquin Phoenix's next project has been announced. It's not a Joker sequel, so he's busy right now, but I do think he'll cameo in the other movies. I always saw what Todd Phillips was trying to do with the Black Label universe as a kind of Black Mirror thing. These standalone, self-contained stories that can bleed in to the other Black Label movies as well. So I think, for example, if you're doing another character, if you're focusing on another character, he can be walking past Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Maybe a kind of Back to the Future 2 kind of vibe. So maybe Joaquin wouldn't have to come back and shoot new scenes. Who knows? So I think it's pretty obvious. Everyone's saying it. We want a Lex Luthor Black Label movie. And that would be amazing. And there's so many, look, it doesn't even have to be villains, but just imagine this. A pre-Superman Lex Luthor, who's in Metropolis, he's got LexCorp, he's running his business, he's Lex Luthor. We get a handle on what this character is. Then in the second half of the movie, we see how he reacts when Superman is revealed to Metropolis and the rest of the world. And we see that hatred, that xenophobic hatred that Lex Luthor has. And it's not xenophobia in terms of racism to other cultures. He is so on par with humanity. He thinks he's the protector of humanity and no alien is going to come to Earth with more powers. But it's not just about that with Lex Luthor. He wants to be the most powerful guy in the world. And this alien is seen as a hero with these powers. He envies him. He hates him. He wants to take what he's got. And that's always been the fascinating thing with Lex Luthor. And I think we saw aspects of that in Smallville. The way they did it, how Lex and Clark were friends, but slowly Lex's jealousy of Clark and envy that he had the loving family and that he was special, that he was the chosen one. It was an interesting conversation they had in the series finale as well. That really is who Lex Luthor is. And we've never really... BVS did elements of the comic book Superman in terms of his hatred of Superman, the way he wants to show the world that Superman's a false god. That really is graphic novel Superman, graphic novel Lex Luthor. That's how he feels about Superman. And that's a fascinating thing. So I think this Black Label universe is brilliant. It's perfect for Hamada, perfect for DC. It's perfect for WB because it won't take much money to get off the ground, and you can really raise this franchise up. You can make it interconnected if you want. You can have them as standalone stories. We know that in the Batman, Matt Reeves is going to use pretty much every single grade A villain. So you would imagine that they will be off the table. Maybe they won't. But there's so many characters in this unit. I mean, you could even do one on a... Todd Phillips could literally do a Martian Manhunter standalone movie. And you're saying, Mick, that's not how he works. He wants to be gritty and realistic. But why can't we look at Martian Manhunter? A man who lost his planet, who lost his wife, who thinks he's lost his daughter on Earth just after this has happened. And to see the humanity, him on Earth and having to cope with these losses, it would be amazing. As I say, I don't know what Todd Phillips wants to do next, but his first movie has made over $1 billion. His actor, Joaquin Phoenix, has won multiple awards, especially the biggest one, of course, is the Best Actor Oscar Academy Awards, right? Massive. This film is massive, and I can't believe people tried to cancel Todd Phillips, and film Twitter tried to cancel the Joker movie. And we've had this discussion before, and it's very boring, but I think it's amazing. The more they bitched about this film and about this actor and about this director, the more money this film made. Hilarious. And I just feel Lex Luthor would be perfect, but then I can see a Martian Manhunter movie being really good too. And I don't think we should be limited. Because a Martian Manhunter movie, he's an amazing character. He really is. As I say, this is a guy who's from Mars. He fought in a war against the White Martians. He lost his wife, and he thinks he's lost his daughter. Right? It would be amazing. An amazing story, and Todd Phillips could do brilliant. Now, Todd Phillips has already said he loves villains. And in the DC universe, and not just the A-grade villains, there's many, many villains. You could do a Deathstroke standalone movie. Imagine that. There's so much to Deathstroke as a character, right? He was in the army. He wasn't just totally bad from the beginning. Again, so much potential. Todd Phillips has tapped into something amazing. And what's amazing about... If you compare this to the first movie in the DCEU, Man of Steel, which divided audiences, divided critics, this hasn't divided anyone. I know there was some negative talk on it, but this film has made a lot of money. And 9 out of 10 people love this film. It's a great start for the Black Label. We've seen what happened with the DCEU. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, then Zack Snyder's BVS, and the divisiveness that those films caused. But I think most people will admit that most people like Joker, and it's the beginning. And with Todd Phillips doing these films, it will be amazing. There could be a big universe here. There's a lot of money, a lot of potential, but forget the money. Forget the success. This is about giving DC fans something extremely special. I can see great things happening within the DCEU. The Batman, Black Adam, the Suicide Squad by James Gunn. You know, we have Wonder Woman 1984. Who knows how people are going to receive that film? But I think with the Black Label, we've got a film that's got the public's goodwill. And that's also important because with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, as much as I love them, they didn't have all of the public's goodwill. So you're kind of pushing a locomotive, and the locomotive is pushing back at you. That's what the DCEU was. So they were fighting a losing battle. Then Zack left. Then we had what happened with Justice League, and now they're trying to find their way back, and they are, including Birds of Prey, which I think is a really good film. Forget about the chatter. But with this this was a fabulous idea by Todd Phillips, and now he has got the respect. He has got the success to say to Warner Brothers, Walter Hamada, and Bradley Cooper, who's his intermediary. Right, he's very big, Bradley Cooper. He was on the special features, if you want to see it on the Blu-ray, talking it up. And I think this Black Label universe can be something very special for Todd Phillips. He can create something. He's an auteur. As Bradley Cooper said on the extras, he's an auteur. And people just kind of pigeonholed him as a comedy writer-director. But this guy can do absolutely anything. A DC Black Label that doesn't have to be bright and MCU. He can do whatever he wants, right? He has the freedom with this movie. Joker movies isn't just one of the best comic book movies ever made. It's one of the best movies. This generation of moviegoers have never seen something so fresh, so brilliant. Yes, it's inspired by Taxi Driver, but every piece of art is inspired by something. I was thinking of writing a story years ago. I was obsessed with Star Wars and a Lost TV series, and I thought, I love this show. I love Star Wars. What could I do? I came up with a story called Trapped. Trapped is basically about this town called Redsford, and all of a sudden, these metal-looking walls rise up and at the entrances and the exits of the towns and trap everyone in the town. This was my idea. And then these new creatures would, it would be this big kind of story. And this was all inspired from Star Wars and J.J. Abrams' Lost. You see, you're always inspired by great artwork. You're not copying. You're just inspired. Todd Phillips wasn't copying Scorsese. He was inspired by him, using an iconic comic book villain, a.k.a. character. And look what we got. Something really, really special. So there is a roadmap being built right now as we talk. Todd Phillips is working with Hamada to do something. Without Hamada green-lighting this would never have happened. Forget about the negative talk. They had to bring other partners in. Nobody knew if this was going to be successful, right? Nobody. They had to take precautions, and they did. Any business would do the same thing. So I definitely want a Lex Luthor standalone story, a Martian Manhunter one, and a Deathstroke. I think the first three stories being Deathstroke, Martian Manhunter, and Lex Luthor would be amazing. You could even do kind of different versions of Superman, different versions of Batman. Listen, the evidence is in Joker that a roadmap is already being built. We have seen a young Bruce Wayne. We've already seen that. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to see Bruce seeing his parents getting killed. And forget about the idiots who say, oh, we saw Batman's origin story. Why are you so triggered by seeing that? It's one of the great origin stories. Of course you should see it again and again and again. But we saw it. So we're going to see a Bruce Wayne. Maybe we saw that because the next film is a young Bruce Wayne standalone story, a type of a Gotham, like what they did with the Gotham TV series. That would be interesting. Maybe that's a setup for Todd Phillips' next movie. How exciting would that be? That the Joker created the Batman, who's a kind of monster. He's a vigilante stroke hero, but he's still a bit of a monster, isn't he? Very interesting. The DC movieverse is going from strength to strength. Ignore the negativity aimed at Birds of Prey. It's going right. The Hamada-verse, the Black Label, the Todd Phillips verse, the DCEU. It's an exciting time to be a DC fan because now you've got people running things that get it. So forget about the negativity. If you're a DC fan, Be very excited of what's to come in the future. And I haven't even mentioned J.J. Abrams' Superman or J.J. Abrams' Justice League movie. Exciting times ahead, everyone. Right. Before I go, I want to talk about the Joker and a little snippet about release the Snyder Cut. Right. Joker is more than a CBM, but it is a CBM. It's a very different type of CBM, but it is a CBM. Full stop. Rewatching this yesterday, this film puts a mirror towards all of us. Something I noticed with the 4K version when he's on the bus and the lady tells him off for talking to the kid. Some of his clown makeup is still there. That's how messy he is. That's how he can't even get his thoughts straight to do that. There's certain triggers within this film. First of all, this guy is begging his psychiatrist, his shrink, his counsellor, whatever you want to call her, for more powerful medication. She doesn't listen. She goes, listen, this just shows how clueless they were back in the 80s, right? She says you're on so much medication. Surely they must be doing you some good, Arthur. She doesn't even know. She doesn't even have a clue. She's guessing. And then she tells him, I mean, she's not a bad person. She's just part of the system. So she's become cynical. She goes, they don't care about you, Arthur. And they don't care about me either. People like me either. So he can't have his pills. That's the first trigger of him becoming the Joker. But then other things happen. Obviously, there's many triggers. Him being beaten up at the start, but he's still on his medication, so he's all right. Him being beaten up on the train is the moment he really does become the Joker. That's really the tunnel towards that, right? But I think the main trigger for him becoming the Joker is that moment he finds out that his mother isn't his mother. She adopted him. Everything Arthur knew was a lie. He finds out that his mother allowed her boyfriend to kick 7 tons of shit out of Arthur. It's her fault and this guy's fault that Arthur has a mental condition from the brain damage he got, right? We can say that we're responsible for our own lives and nobody else is responsible. But we walk through a world from the moment we are born. We are brought up by our parents. They tell us this, they tell us that. A child's brain is a sponge. Forget that Arthur was kicked in, right? He's soaking up all this bullshit. And this is what we all do. We soak up all this bullshit from our parents. And then we go out there and we believe what we've been fed on our TVs by our parents. What Joker shows is the cruelty of humanity. That this guy is literally just ignored. Nobody cares about him or anyone else suffering. He's just a number. And then you've got Bruce Wayne's father, Thomas Wayne. So he says an interesting thing. He says, these people, these working class people going after people like me because we've done all right with our lives. This is how right-swinging people think. That anyone who's on the streets or struggling is because they're lazy. It's so one-dimensional to them. So people rise up because of what Arthur's done. But what's interesting, when Arthur's on the Murray Franklin show, he says, I don't believe in anything. And he laughs. That's brilliant, isn't it? Because we go on the internet, we hear about all these people doing all these terrible things in the world today, and they all believe in something. They're socialists. They're fighting for this religion, that religion. But Arthur Fleck believes in fuck all. He's just been broken by a society. And in the end, he lashes out because nobody has shown him any love. Even his own mother, who he baths, who he changes, who he's been looked after. The woman lied to him. She stood there and allowed him to be beaten and for his mental condition to be created by that injury. I don't think she was a bad person because she was mentally ill as well. And it just shows you what Todd Phillips is really saying. He's showing you a domino effect and what happened in life. As I say, we can keep on saying that everyone's just responsible for themselves and they should pick up themselves off the floor. But do we really want to live in such an uncharitable society? It's another question, one of the many that this film poses. Joker movie makes much commentary about the world we live in. Whether it's the 80s, 90s, 21st century, doesn't matter. The cruelty. I'm all right, Jack. If you're not all right, it's your fault. Do something about it. Why should I help you? Why should I prop you up? This is the attitude we live in, right? So a lot of interesting commentary, and I think this is why it triggered such a negative response by some people. They just saw it as a film about a white man blaming everyone else for his problems. Arthur, of course, is responsible for his actions, but he never had a chance. He never had a chance. How could that guy live in the world? He tried. He tried while he was on his medication. He tried his best. He had dreams of being a comedian, even though he's not funny. He knows he's not funny, but he's trying. It's what he wants to do. He knows if he becomes a successful comedian, maybe he can focus on that and nothing else. And then the darkness won't set in. We all have dreams. We all want a better life. He sits there fantasizing while watching the Murray Franklin show that he's part of the audience. And Murray calls him down and says, forget about the lights and the fame. I'd give it up in a minute to have a kid like you. What a fantasy. How many times have you fantasized about a famous person that you look up to taking you in their arms and taking care of you and being your friend? We've all done it, and don't pretend you haven't. Life can be dark. Life can be lonely. And the worst thing we can do in society is say, it's not our problems, it's your problems. Because one day, when we have this unethical uncaring for our fellow human beings, because we have become this now. Some people don't like men, some people don't like women, some people don't like people of colour. It goes on and on and on. This hatred for groups. We are all the same, we are all human beings. This film says a little bit of kindness can go a long way. If only someone showed Arthur some kindness, especially his own mother. And these are the messages that triggered people. So an amazing film that makes a big statement. And when films make big statements and show a mirror in our eyes, we become offended. But we shouldn't. We should just try and be better people. Because the moment we deny our own flaws is when we allow the first steps of insanity to embrace our lives. So a brilliant film. I'm so proud that this film is a DC film. Very, 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 very proud. Right, before I go, let's talk about the Snyder Cut. I like to finish off with the Snyder Cut because it's something for me that's concerning me right now. There seems to be a lackadaisical kind of attitude towards the Snyder Cut. We're going to get it, we're going to get it, we're going to get it. Not if you don't fight for it. Not if you don't keep on fighting as hard as you do. But you've got to be positive, and you've got to do it in the right way. We can get the Snyder Cut and the Air Cut. We can. But we have to be a bit smarter how we're fighting. I notice the movement now. Everyone seems to be patting themselves in the back, thinking we're superior to other DC films. We're not, right? We want to see those films. We're going to have to keep on fighting in a very clean, moral way. Because right now, I'm not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. And I said this yesterday, and I'll say it every day. We have to fight harder. Zack Snyder's been very, very quiet lately. He's probably very, very busy with his zombie Netflix show, right? Or movie, or whatever it is. I get it. But there's going to have to come a time when serious questions have to be asked of Zack. Does he really believe we can see this film? We know it's done. We know it needs some garnish here and there. We know it's done. But serious questions have to be asked because people have put a lot of energy and love and passion into this movement. And we want to know what are the realistic chances of ever seeing this film. Please comment down below. Please like, share, and subscribe the video. And remember, the Joker movie is just the beginning. We are going to get a bunch of films, very special films. And Todd Phillips, my friends, is a genius.